time I make a run, girl, you turn around and cry. I ask myself why, why? See, you must understand, I can't work a 9 to 5, so I'll be gone till November. Said I'll be gone till November, I'll be gone till November.
Section 3.3 is on the law of cosines. We did the law of sines before over 2 days. Today we're going to do the law of cosines in a single day. So the first thing I want to do is just review when you use the law of cosines. There's two situations where you're going to use the law of cosines. One's this situation where you know a side, you know an angle, and you know another side, and it's the angle between the two sides that you know. So this is a side angle side. That's one case where you're going to have to use law of cosines to find the other missing aspects of the triangle. And then the other situation where you use cosine law is if you have a side, side, side. You know all three sides, no angles. You have to start by using the law of cosines. So that's a side, side, side. Now, a couple other things I want to write down here, and I'll talk about them a little more later. If you're doing a side angle side situation, you want to, if you were solving this triangle, the first thing you would have to do is find the missing side, this side over here, using the cosine law, and I'm going to describe to you how to do that today. And then that would leave you with two angles that you have to find, and you want to find the smaller angle first using the sine law. The smaller for sine law, SS, right? And that's important. The reason for that is because if you find the larger angle, it might be an obtuse angle greater than 90 degrees. But if you remember from before, there's two different angles that have the same sine value, and if you plug it in your calculator, it's going to give you the acute angle, not the obtuse one. I'm sure that's very hard for you to understand. I'll try to explain it again in a bit here. But anyway, with side, 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 obviously you're going to find one of the angles. Which angle should you find first? You should find the largest angle first. And it's for the same reason. Because then after that, you're going to use the sine law. And if you didn't find the largest angle, you might end up finding an acute angle, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you will have to memorize this, or you will have to know this. But you don't have to know why. But you do have to know this if you don't want to make any mistakes. Alright, we'll talk more about that in a second. First of all, here's the cosine law. It looks a little bit crazy. It is this: a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times the cosine of A, angle A. You're going to use this one to find a missing side. So in this case, obviously you would use this equation if you wanted to find side A of a triangle. What if it wasn't side A you're looking for? What if it was side B? Well, there's actually two other forms of this. I'll give you this one on a test or a quiz, but you need to also be clear that a squared equals b squared plus c squared blah 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 is also the same kind of, if you just reorder the sides, to b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine b. Does that make sense? All I've done is wherever I see a, I replace it with b, and wherever I've seen b, I replace it with a. What if I wanted to know what side C is? Then I would say that c squared equals, you should be able to do this, what's the rest of it? The rest would be a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times the cosine of c. Okay, so I'll give you this one, you need to know these ones. Now, the other thing you have to sometimes find using the cosine law is a missing angle. And you could use this equation, but it's a little bit tricky to move things to the other side and rearrange this and everything. So there's also this equation, which again I will give you, and this equation you're going to use to find a missing angle. In this case, it would be angle A. Okay, and again, there's two other forms of this as well. I'll just write one more of them to make sure you understand. If I was looking for angle B, it would be a squared plus c squared minus b squared all over 2ac. And then there'd be another one for cosine c here, but I'll leave that for you to do that. Okay, so let's do two questions and we're done. The first question says find the length of c, but actually I'm going to change this. I'm going to change the question to solve the triangle. In other words, we have to find everything. We have to find all three angles and all three sides. And so far what we have is two sides and the angle in between them. So what situation is this? This is a side angle side. So we need to use the cosine law. Now, if you don't want to memorize the two cases where you use the cosine law, here's what you can do. What I do is I find the sine law easier. I think you will too. So what I always try to do is to use the sine law. And if you remember from last couple videos, when we use the sine law, you need to have pairs, right? So if we're trying to find angle C, we need to know if we were trying to find side C, we need to know the angle across from it. Yes, there's a pair. And we need one other pair. Is there a pair with this side? No, we don't know that angle. Is there a pair with this side? No, we don't know that angle. So we can't use the sine law. So you know you're going to have to use the cosine law here. Okay, so we're using the cosine law and we're trying to find a side. So it's this third equation down here we have to use. So c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times the cosine of c. C squared, we obviously don't know what c is. A, we know what a is. It's across from angle A, so it is 17. 17 squared. B squared is across from angle B. It's 32 squared. Minus 2 times A, which is again 17, times B, which is again 32, times the cosine of angle C, and angle C is 105 degrees. Okay, you could do this all in one go in your calculator if you want, but if you're going to do that, I recommend you put brackets around this piece and around this piece. In fact, the way I usually do it is I get this answer and write it down, I get this answer and write it down, and then go from there. So that's what I'm going to do. So I have c squared equals 17 squared plus 32 squared. If you put that in your calculator, you'll find it's 1,313. Take away, see there's a take away sign there. And when you do this, 2 times 17 times 32 times cosine 105, you're going to end up with a negative amount. Don't freak out. This is going to happen a lot. If the angle is more than 90 degrees, you're always going to get a negative amount in here. So you end up with negative 281.1. So now when we combine those, it's 1,313 take away negative, which is the same as plus. So you end up with 1,594.6. Are we finished? Is that how much this is? No, that doesn't make sense. If this is 17 and 32, this is not that big. What do we still have to do? Still have to take the square root. Since c squared equals this, then c equals the square root of 1,594.6, and put that in your calculator, you will get 39.9. So we now know that this side here is 39.9 centimeters. Okay, now we have two angles to find. Which one should we find first? Well, it actually doesn't matter in this case because we've already have the obtuse angle here, so it's safe to do it either way. But let's pretend this wasn't an obtuse angle, or you didn't realize that, or you just always want to be extra safe. Then we would follow the Sas rule, which is to find the missing side first. That's what we did. We found that side. And then find the smaller angle. So which one of these is the smaller angle? Well, just by looking at it, you can probably tell it's this one, A. But do you know the other way you can tell which one's smaller? It's going to be across from the smaller side. 32, 17. 17 is smaller, so the angle across from the 17 is smaller. So this is the angle we want to find next, angle A. And you can use the cosine law if you want, but I find the sine law easier, and you can use the sine law now. You have one pair here, and here's the other pair. The thing you're trying to find, angle A, and this side make a pair. So I'm going to use the sine law. So I do sine A over side A, which is 17, equals sine 105 over side C, which is 39.9. Okay, the way we solve that is by cross multiplying, so we get sine A equals 17 times sine 105 divided by 39.9. And if you do all that stuff on the right hand side there, you're going to end up with 0.412. That's what sine A is equal to. How do we get what A is? We do inverse sine, or arc sine, of 0.412. And if you put that in your calculator, you'll get 24 degrees if you round it to the nearest whole angle. So A is 24 degrees. Great. The only thing we have to get now is B. We could use the cosine law. We could use the sine law again. But what's the easiest way to do it? Well, we know that angle B is equal to, what do all the angles add up to? 180. So it's equal to 180 minus the 105 up here, minus the 24 over there, and if you subtract those, you're going to get 51 degrees. And we're finished. This is 51. Okay, we solved the whole thing. Great. Next question and last question. We're going to solve this triangle. So, what kind of situation do we have here? Well, we know a side, and another side, and another side. This is a side, side, side. So what we have to do is we have to use the cosine law, because again, if you tried to find pairs here, whichever angle, say you wanted to find angle A, okay, you got one pair, but you have no other pairs, so can't use the sine law. You have to use cosine law. And what was the rule when we have an SSS situation? The rule was that we have to find the largest angle first using the cosine law. So we better do that. Find the largest angle first. How do you know what the largest angle is? It's across from the largest side. So because 30 is the biggest side, this is the angle we have to find first. And we're going to use the cosine law for that. So in order to do that, we have to use one of these formulas. And it's going to be the one I haven't written down here. So here's our chance to see if you understood what it should be. You should have gotten, if you'd written it down, or if you'd thought about it, you should have gotten that cosine C equals a squared plus b squared minus c squared, all divided by 2ab. And then we just plug into that. Cosine C equals a squared. Well, a is across from the angle A, so it's 18 squared plus b is 22 squared minus 30 squared, all divided by 2 times 18 times 22. Again, just to be safe, maybe I'll get the answer to the numerator first. And if I do that, I get negative, again, don't worry about it, negative 92 divided by 792. So that if we write that as a decimal, it's negative 0.1162. Now, do you remember from what I said in the previous side of the worksheet? If the cosine value is a negative amount, what does that mean about the angle? It's going to be an angle between 90 and 180 degrees. It's going to be bigger than 90. It's going to be an obtuse angle. So in order to get C, since cosine C equals this, we have to do inverse cos, or arc cos, of negative 0.1162. And if you put that in your calculator, you'll get that C is 97 degrees. So we know now that this is 97 degrees. Okay, it doesn't matter which angle you get next, as long as you've got the biggest one first. So you could, let's get angle A next. And you could definitely do that by using the cosine law. But as I said, I like using the sine law more. I think it's faster, a little bit easier to memorize, all that kind of stuff. So you now have the pairs that you can use the sine law. So I would have sine A over side A, which is 18, equals sine C, sine 97, over 30. And then I cross multiply that. So I get sine A equals 18 times sine 97. And then I divide that by 30. If you do that, you will get that sine A is equal to 0.5955. That's what sine A is. In order to get A, I do inverse sine or arc sine. And if you put that in your calculator, you're going to get 37 degrees. So this angle is 37 degrees. We've got two angles. We want to get the third one. Well, angle B is just equal to 180, since they all add up to that. Take away 37, take away 97, and we'll be all finished. And if you do that, you get angle B equals 46 degrees. And we're done. Okay, there you go. I will give you, remember, I will give you the formulas, but you need to be able to generate the alternate forms of those formulas. So I'll give you the highlighted, or the boxed formulas here. Alright, the wonderful thing about the cosine law, and I'll just write this as the last thing, and you can all do a victory dance as you turn off the video for the day. With the cosine law, there is no ambiguous case. Thank the Lord for that. And one last thing, my favorite way of referring to the law of cosines is the cosine law, or in its short form, the cos law. The cos law. Cos law. Thank you.
November, I'll be gone till November. You tell my girl, I'll be gone till November. I'll be gone till November. I'll be gone